Year of the Ox.
Yes, Happy New Year. New means ox or cow in
Ah,
Chinese. Happy New Year ang sabi.
okay. That's,
So, ang joke sa mga baninsik dire.
that's a good by. Kung Hei Fat Choi o unsa
Gong
pa
Shi
siya?
Fa Cai. Gong Hei Fat Choi is Cantonese. Gong Shi Fa Cai is Mandarin. Kyung Hee
Okay.
Huat Sai is the Hokkien equivalent.
Ken. Mm, good to know.
Yeah.
Nagdaog lang sa ano no, pronunciation ba?
Oh, lain lang sila pronunciation gamay.
So tama lang gyapon eh kung Hei Fat Choi. Pa Cantonese.
Cantonese. Oh. Sa Hong Kong man na siya gigamit ang Kung Hei Fat Choi. Sa una magudaghan sa mga tao madto mag Hong Kong. So, di ba? Pero karon di na kay uso karon ng kung Hei Fat Choi. Kung Si Fat Sai na kay kuha naman ang China. China plus Singapore also uses Kung Si Fat Sai. Kung
Pero
Si Fat Sai.
nakita kong
Same
vlog
characters.
ganina kung Hei Bat Choi. Tapos picture ni Drilon.
Ah,
Nawala yung tingog ba eh?
nara ko dili.
Okay. Kita ko kung Hei Bat Choi. Si
Kung
Drilon
Si Fat
ang
Choi
picture.
lagi. Yatay. Kung Si Fat Sai.
Ah, kastorya kag Mandarin ba eh?
Oh, gusto rin ko gumay.
Nice. I've been watching ano ba, mga polyglot sa YouTube.
Mm.
Mga a few guys that can speak like 20, 30 languages. Kuya upod. I wonder how their brain works ba. Pero there's ano no, there's a technique ba to study
There's a
languages.
technique. Yeah, there's a technique. Yeah. Ako, when I repetition naman dyan na siya. Then depends also on what languages you're learning. So if you already know how to speak, pretend Spanish gani, kibaw na ka ganing Spanish. Sayo na makatunan ang mga Portuguese, Italian,
Italian.
kuan French, sayo na siya gamay. So you already know a lot of vocabulary words. You just need to change a little bit of the, you just do a conversion of sorts. And the same thing with German and Dutch. And
Mm,
a lot of English words are already based on German. They're
right.
like
Ang
the
answer
same.
ang medyo similar daw sa composition ng grammar ang ano no, Korean o Japanese.
Similar sila word order,
Word
pero
order di ay. Oh.
word order nila is similar. Kay ending nila, it's actually similar sa Mongolian pod kay sa ending po nilang mga verbs.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Let's go.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
Kung Ipa Choi.
Kung Si Fa Cai.
Yo. Happy New Year to our Chinese brethren and friends. Mayong gabi. Good evening to you. It's also payday weekend for people here in the Philippines. Kamu orayon na end of the month ba no?
At
Sa
least for my
Singapore?
for the company I work for and many companies I've also worked for, it's once a month, and so end of the month na siya kasagaran. Pero naman siguro ilain mga kumpanya diri nga kinsenas po siguro. Naman. I think so.
Well, yung mga Pinoy, happy-happy ron. Kay syempre, sweldo.
Oh.
Problema, like Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is just around the corner. This Sunday, kabalo ka, ang mga Pilipino, dili gyud na. I don't think they will let Valentine's pass by without celebrating with their loved ones. They'll find
Yeah.
a way, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Maski pandemic pa na.
Oh, lagi.
They'll, so I kind of dread it because, the commander in chief wants to go somewhere this Valentine's Day, and I don't know. If it's a good idea. Everybody's gonna go out of town, I'm sure.
Yeah, the
Huh?
COVID issue, no. There's that
It's still
social distancing thing.
correct. So Ryan, how have you been? I can
Pretty
see
good.
that you're celebrating the Chinese New Year, uh,
Yep.
with the outfit and everything.
Yep. Yeah. Happy New Year, as the Singapore Prime Minister would say. Happy New Year.
No,
Nyo is the word, the Mandarin word for ox or for cow, for cattle basically. Nyo. And yeah, it's the year of cattle, the year of cow, the year of ox.
the bull, the
So
ox.
of the yeah, of cattle.
Is it
So
is it a good
Happy
year for you
New
though?
Year.
Or do
Huh?
you believe in? Do you read up on your Chinese astrology? Is it going to be a good year for you?
I don't really know. I don't really care. I don't really care about the astrology stuff.
Because it's been crazy last year. The previous year is the year of the rat, the metal rat, if I'm not mistaken, and it's kind of scary because the pandemic happened last year, and
Yeah.
we have a few friends who who bit the dust. Even very popular, or some of our public officials, like just recently, somebody who the general manager of the MRT here in the Philippines
Yeah,
um,
that's right.
su-
Yeah.
succumbed to COVID-19. So we still have to be careful, guys. Yung mga ating mga viewers ngayong gabi ay hindi pa tapos yung ating laban sa COVID-19. Mag-iingat po tayo. Parate, huwag nating kakalimutan na it's still a deadly disease. It can hit anybody. So, bro, speaking of COVID, syempre meron mga discussions ngayon, or I've heard from certain parties in Congress saying that Congress should focus more on um, basically Ayuda, giving
I'm
the
very
citizen.
disappointed. Yeah, I'm quite disappointed with a particular faction in, particularly in the House. And
Mm,
these are people that, like, the main proponent of this Ayuda Hindi Chacha thing is someone that I actually thought was supposed to be on the administration side, right? So this is I'm talking about APC. So Alan Peter
mm.
Cayetano, and I mean, I personally I kind of like the guy, and how he was helping
Yeah,
out
yeah,
in defending the president early on, right? And then now it's just that politics is now getting in the way. So he's now saying that, I mean, just because he's not speaker anymore, he's going against the moves of the current House leadership.
mm,
Of course, I mean, I understand. Yeah, fine. He doesn't agree with who they are, but I'm just saying, look, don't get in the way of what needs to be done, particularly this particular set of reforms, because these are part and parcel of the campaign promises of the president. And you campaigned for this, like when you were both running for president and vice president, Mr. APC. And it's I'm drafting a letter that I'm going to send to your office telling you to please back down, stop this, because it's not helping. I mean, ha- they're saying, right? Ayuda hindi chacha. They forget, where's the ayuda going to come from? Where is that money going to come from? That money comes from taxes. And you're going to have tax revenues when people have work. But people lost their jobs because of COVID. And 'di ba, so many people lost their jobs. So many OFWs were sent home because they lost their jobs. Their companies closed. And so what we need to do right now is to focus on creating jobs. And the fastest way to create a huge, huge, huge number of jobs is to bring in foreign direct investors into the Philippines. And how are you going to do that when you have the 60/40 and other anti foreign direct investment restrictions? That's why we need to get rid of them. And that's why this particular set of reforms being pushed by the House and by some people within the Senate, which are endorsed, or actually not endorsed, they are the prerogatives of the PRRD administration. I mean, why are you going against this? This is what you need for Ayuda. If you want to have Ayuda, if you want to have money to pay to help people,
mm.
you need to get these reforms through. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it. That's what everybody else is doing. That's what Indonesia did. That's what Vietnam did. to fix their economies, to be able to have money to solve this COVID crisis, they said, let's bring in as many foreign direct investors as possible. So they decided to get rid of whatever remaining little restrictions they had. And here we are, we're just talking about just keeping them. No, get rid of them. And, I don't understand where this Ayuda Hindi Chacha thing is coming from. It's just ridiculous.
He does have a disclaimer after he said that we need a stimulus so that people will spend. They have spending money, so they're proposing a 10,000 peso stimulus package, or 10,000 pesos per person, or for our informal settlers, the poorest of the poor should receive assistance from the government in the amount of 10,000 pesos, so that 10,000 pesos will go back to the economy. But he did say, see, Cayetano said that, I'm not against Chacha. As a matter of fact, I'm one of the proponents. I'm one of the people who is pushing for amendments, especially on the economic uh, uh, provisions of the Constitution. But again, the word timing was
And
mentioned.
I hate that when they say that, because they're so, yeah, fine. I'm not against it, but it's the timing. You are against it if you're talking about the timing, right? But that's the thing. When people say that the timing's not right now, then you're basically saying it's not. Don't make it happen. So it's like, voila. This is what we need right now, precisely because of COVID. By the way, I hear a little bit of echo there. There's a little echoey sound coming out. But yeah, I was just saying, we really, 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 really need these reforms if you want to. First of all, when you have these reforms, when you get rid of these 60-40 uh, bullshit restrictions in the Constitution, when you get rid of them, the job creating investors will come in, and then a lot of people who no longer who lost their jobs will now have jobs, and they won't even need ayuda, right? They will not need ayuda because they will now have jobs, and then they will help in because they will be paying taxes, they will be spending money, and in when they spend money, there's like VAT and all these other consumption taxes, and the tax money goes to the government, and that money is able to be used to help those who don't have jobs. But if we're going to say, no, kailangan natin ayuda, hindi chacha, it's the chacha part, it's the constitutional reform part that enables us to have the money to do the ayuda in the first place. And that's why I don't understand where he's coming from. It's just really, really, I don't know, really, really disappointing that I'm hearing this from him, or from other people as well.
We have a few people here who have messaged us.
Hmm.
Uh, we call them the early birds for Istoryang Futbolero. So let me welcome them first, Orion.
Yep.
I hope you got the point about the frustration that we've been experiencing the last few days, listening to some of our politicians trying to justify the fact that that they shouldn't. They're going against the grain here somehow by saying that it's not time yet to do constitutional reform or cha-cha because we still have so much spending in this pandemic. Bernabe Peñalosa says, magandang gabi po. Magtatanong lang po ako, baka may sagot sa inyo. Bakit di na matawagan ng 8888 ni Tatay Duterte? Okay.
Hindi ko
I
alam.
think there's a problem with the hotline. Maria Villa of Taguig City is greeting us Kung Hei Fat Choi.
Yeah.
Thank you
Kung
so
Xi
much.
Fa Cai.
Kung
Kung
Hei
Xi
Fat
Fa
Choi.
Cai. Actually, okay, so Kung Hei Fat Choi is Cantonese, but actually more people use Mandarin, right? So it's nice to
Again,
start using Gong Xi Fa Cai.
Kung Shi
Gong
Fat Chai.
Gong Xi Fa Cai. Yeah.
Kung Shi Fat Chai.
Gong Xi Fa Cai. Yeah. Gong Xi Fa Cai.
That's why they say learning Mandarin is hard, huh? Because the
Yeah.
pronunciation, even the pronunciation is kind of difficult. And if you pronounce a certain word differently, it's gonna mean differently. It's gonna mean something else.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I'll give you an example. Mama, ma. That means something. Okay, we say mama, ma means did mother scold the horse? Because mama is mother. Ma. is to scold, pagalitan mo, And then ma is horse, and then ma is a question word. So mama, ma is, did mother scold the horse? And in Chinese, for example, you say in Mandarin, when you say buy and sell, it's both it's my for buy, and then my for sell.
Mm,
My is to buy and sell or trade. That's
that's crazy. We have something similar to that. Like this funny joke, a few like a joke of a joke about this foreigner and a Filipino entering the elevator at the same time,
baba
and then
baba baba
oh,
ba.
wow,
Yeah.
that's funny. Honolito Gilo says possibly occupied na yung lines ng hotline 888, which is normal if there are lots of calls. By the way, why are you calling the number this time? May report ka ba? Crazy. Okay.
Hingi siguro ng ayuda. Just kidding.
Hi, thank you for
Just
watching.
kidding.
Gabi Lacson, good evening. Happy Chinese New Year. Don Pelonio is also watching. Good evening, Futbolero. Maayong gabi, Sir Ron and Sir Orion. Pao Ortega, good evening, Sir Ron and Sir Orion. Hindi susuko sa reforma at hybrid system. God bless. Erickson Paglinawan, Happy Chinese New Year watching from Doha, Qatar. Bahi Dabisoy, laban lang. Honest si Chon, walang problema ang consti ng Pilipinas. Ang peste ang mga Pilipino politiko sa Pilipinas. Okay, Alex Louie. Good evening, Sir Ron and Sir Ryan. Mabuhay ka po kayo. Happy New Year, sirs, from Jaime Hernandez. Jason Manzanares, maayong gabi sa inyo from Silay City, Negros Occidental. June Corban. Chin Nyan Kwale, mga idol, itapon na
Sinyan
itapon.
Kuala. Yeah. Sinyan Kuala is a Happy New Year in Mandarin.
Ah, okay.
Sinyan Kuala. Yeah.
So that's another way of saying Happy New Year? Okay.
Yeah. So Sinyan Kuala is literally Happy New Year. And then when you say
Mm.
恭喜发财, it's congratulations, may you prosper, may you get rich.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay. Good.
that's what it is.
Sabi ni June Corban, tapon na yung bulok na 1987 constipation. O nga pala, Constipation Friday nga pala tayo ngayon. Ah, and also si Gabby Lacson, the timing is more than right as of right now. Okay.
Oh, dapat nga, matagal na yan eh. I mean, like anyone who says that I have a problem with the timing, it doesn't know what they're talking about. I mean, like, come on, this needs to have happened long ago, and then now we're in a situation where we need these reforms to have happened long ago, and right now we're having this money crunch. So make it happen because it didn't happen when it needed to happen. So make it happen now. I don't get these people saying ayuda hindi chacha. Oh, I'm for it. I just now is not the time. Oh, come on. Bullshit. Ay nako.
Oh yeah, that too. That's something that we're going to be doing tonight. I'm sure Orion will. You'll hear the infamous Orion rants.
Yeah.
Sabi ni Mike Apolonio, napakabagal ng reforma. Sabi ni Jonathan Baul, maayong gabi ug happy lunar year, Sir Ron and Sir Ryan watching here in Bohol. Nice. Tapos sabi ni Arnold Ibar Sabal, hello both from Zamboanga del Norte. Galing
Okay.
Galing, tagang Naminaw from Visayas and Mindanao. All right, so back to what we were talking about, Orion. So we have, I think it's expected that we're going to be facing a lot of contra or obstacles from here on end, no? Until 2022. People will be trying to, as Orion would describe it, sabotage the the process of amending the constitution, which is badly needed at this time. It goes without saying we've been discussing this for quite a long time now. It's been over a year, I think, Orion, since we started doing the blog.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
we can't stop talking about it now that there is actual movement happening in Congress, and it doesn't help as well that Congress have they have other agendas like getting some there are some factions in Congress trying to get ABS-CBN its franchise back. Yun
Yeah,
ang
yeah.
walang kwenta.
I don't get that. I don't get that. I mean, that's out. Wala yun talaga sa timing. That's the one that's wala sa timing.
Di ba? Wala po talaga ng ibang mga kongresista. Ano na namang ABS-CBN has been gone for a long time. May nangyari bang masama? Hindi ba na-inform yung kulang ba yung informasyon bumababa sa masa dahil wala ng ABS-CBN? I think well-informed pa rin yung ating mga
Kaya
kababayan.
nga eh.
Lahat pa rin ay nagsusuot ng mask. Lahat sumusunod pa rin sa social distancing. At sinusunod lahat ng mga regulations, rules and regulations ng government since nagkaroon ng pandemya. So I don't understand where this this argument comes from in support of giving ABS-CBN another franchise. Nagsabi yung presidente sa amin, magbayad mo na sila ng utang, no? Ang kapal naman ng mga mukha niyo.
Kaya nga eh. Actually yun yung nakasira sa kanila eh. Yung utang, yung, diba? That part. And then of course a lot of the other stuff. It's not, in fact, some people keep on trying to make up this issue na foreign ownership daw. That was not the issue. That was like, okay, that was like one minor issue, but that's not the real issue here. Even without that issue of ownership, they would have had still a mountain of problems. So mountain of issues that were the reason for why they had to get closed. So actually nga tingin ko kung sinabi nating foreign ownership, baka nga mas gumanda pa nga yung kanilang yung kanilang reporting eh. Baka yung foreign partner baka magsabi, ba't namang puro ganyan mga basura yung nilalabas nyo? Maglabas naman kayo mga ganito documentary ng konti. Hindi na puro lang mga sensationalist bullshit na yan. Baka nga ganun eh. Di ba?
Pag na-liberalize yung restrictions on media, di na sila wala na yung problema na they have to issue PDRs.
Yeah.
Yun yung contention parati na I think natalo na ba to? Na umabot na ba sa Supreme Court tong issue ng PDRs? Kasi parang natalo sila sa kaso dyan, di ba? Hindi siguro at the level of the Supreme Court, but that's been discussed. I think the Solicitor General already brought that up. That's illegal. Yung circumventing the law just so they can bring in foreign investment or investors in. Ang problema yata ni Ryan, marami dyan sa ating mga media companies ay pa-sikreto ring merong mga foreign investment.
PDRs din yan. Yeah.
PDRs din. No?
Kasi kulang sila sa pera. I mean, like, let's face it, no? Wala silang choice kasi pangit, konti lang talaga ang mga Pilipino may pera. Konti lang talaga. Konti lang. Yan ang hindi naiintindihan ng maraming mga taga-UP. Yung mga kumukontra sa constitutional reform, kumukontra sa pagpasok ng foreign investors. Kasi na-brainwash ang maraming mga taga-UP ng mga ganyan, mga bulok na ideas at na stupid ideology na yan. So, yung mga nangyayari, so kontra sila ng kontra dyan, hindi nila alam na actually, kailangan talaga ng Pilipinas ng foreign investors kasi kakaunti lang ang mga businesses na local. Kakaunti lang. Yung mga big businesses na nakakapag-hire ng maraming mga Pilipino para dumami yung mga trabaho. Especially na ang laki-laki ng ating population. Buti sana kung nung 1930s pa yun dati. 1930s dati, ang daming trabaho. Kaya nga considered mayaman tayo na bansa dati. Ang mga galing sa China pumupunta ng Pilipinas para mag-migrate. 1950s nga, ang daming mga taga Hong Kong na pumunta ng Pilipinas dahil nabubulukan sila dati sa ekonomiya ng Hong Kong. Pumunta sila sa Pilipinas para maghanap ng mas magandang buhay. So, yun nga yung time na 1950s, yung time na daming mga taga Hong Kong na nagtatrabaho as maid sa mga upper class Filipino families. Kaya nga ama yung mga nangyayari dun sa kanila. Pero baliktad ngayon eh. So, dumami yung mga tao, tapos yung number of businesses sa Pilipinas, na lalo na yung mga local businesses, hindi naman dumami. So, lumiit ang mga sweldo ng mga tao. Kaya daming-daming Pilipino na puwersang maging OFW.
Hmm.
Kaya ang dami ring mga pamilya na nagkakawatak-watak. Yung mga tatay, nanay, hiwalay, yung mga anak, lumaki na walang tatay, nanay, mga ganyan. So, ang laki talagang issue. Tapos sasabihin pa ng mga taga-UP na yan na, ay, kailangan natin ipag-ano yung mga foreign investor niyan, masasama. Meron nga lumabas na ano eh, nakita mo yung may lumabas na tawag nito, parang sa DEX yata na ano yun eh, na sa DepEd pala, DepEd na ano, module, aralin panlipunan. Tapos parang pinapa-brainwash yung mga bata na masama ang foreign investors. Dagdag na hamon rin sa mga manggagawa ang mabilis na pagdating at paglabas ng mga puhunan ng mga dayuhang namumuhunan na naging dahilan ng kompetisyon sa hanay ng mga dayuhang kumpanya at korporasyon ng bansa. Blah, blah, blah. Tapos, ang dami nilang mga ginagawa na parang
Who,
pinapasama
who,
talaga ang
who made
idea
them
na
who made them economic experts, Ryan? How would they know how to run a country, or how to uh, what's their basis for their contention that the only way for the country to prosper is to close down the country from foreign investment. Magandang ano yan, a question yan, Ryan, kasi alam mo, just recently I have Amazon Prime eh. So I was able to find this very interesting
zero
documentary
document. Mm.
on China. How
Okay,
China
okay.
Got Rich. That's the title of the documentary. Sobrang ganda ng video, Ryan. Kasi
I
yung
think
lahat
it's
ng
also, I'm not sure if this is the same one because How China Got Rich, I saw that also on YouTube though. It's a
hmm,
long one. I don't know if
yeah,
it's the same thing. How China Got Rich documentary. I'm trying to check if this is the same one because it might be the same one. It might be the same one.
because if we follow
Yeah.
the thought process of our leftist brothers and sisters, so basically they want nationalized industries. So everything should be nurtured internally. So we should stop other countries from coming in, and exactly what China was trying to do. Basically, their basic premise on their ideology is to make sure that everything is done uh, nationally, and the Filipinos will benefit from all the resources, and that's what China tried to do. What
In
happened
the
there is,
first 20 in the first 20 years of Mao Zedong. So Mao
yon
Zedong,
exactly.
yeah, so in the first 20 years, so nag-ano siya, nag-great leap forward nga siya,
Hmm.
palpak. Many
80%. Kasi
millions of people
parang
starved.
sinasabi
Millions
nga
of
niya,
people starved.
oo, exactly. That's 80% of the population is 80% of their industry is agriculture. And communal agriculture pa yung ginawa nila, na they're actually tilling the land, producing food for themselves. So there's no profit, or there's no economic activity happening. And what happened there is they got really poor, and they starved to death because of this mindset, this approach.
You know what? One of the things that happened pa there, really, really, really stupid, idiotic, Maoist bullshit.
Hmm.
There was this thing that si Mao Zedong was saying, we need to beat other countries in terms of steel production. Sabi niya.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Yan yung sinasabi ng
so
mga kaliwa dito.
sabi ng mga steel production daw. Tapos ang ginawa ng mga village leaders, sige, mag-produce tayo ng steel. Yung mga kutsara, tinidor natin, yung mga yung mga kasangkapan natin, ipamelt natin. Ipapamelt nila, pinamelt nila yon para maging steel daw. Naging nangyari, pangit nga yung quality ng mga steel nila. Tapos naging useless nga. So, nawala na nga sila nung kanilang mga pang-araro, yung mga kasangkapan nila, mga tools nila for carpentry, whatever. Yung mga shovel nila, yung mga ginagamit nila nga pang-araro ng lupa. Inano nila yun, ginamit nila parang pina-meltdown nila yung mga yon para gawing, ito, pinabigay nila sa mga communist leaders. Sir, ito yung steel production ng aming village. Yan, Ha? Ano to? Tapos, wala. Nawalan pa sila ng kanilang kasangkapan. So, kaya nga sila nag-starve. Ang dami dun sa kanila nag-starve. Kasi,
Mm.
wala na silang pang-araro. Wala na silang yung mga tools na ginagamit para mag-farming. So, kaya nga ang dami ring namatay. So, bulok na nga yung economic system. Ang dami pa nilang kabubuhang ginawa ng mga komunista. And that's actually what made Deng Xiaoping get so disappointed with the
Mm.
with communism. And that's why when he visited Singapore in 1978, November of 1974, nakita niya, oh shucks, ang ganda pala nitong pagiging kapitalista. Dapat mas maganda, maraming
Not only that,
trabaho.
yun,
Yun.
he began, actually, it started when he visited the Europe daw.
Europe, yeah, US and Europe, yeah.
He went to Europe, and then he was so, ang tawag nito, he was shocked na, wow, ganito pala ang buhay sa Western countries.
Oo,
They all
oo.
thought, meron silang parang they have this belief that the capitalist or uh, approach would produce more poor people. 'Di ba? Parang ganun yung pagpunta niya doon, parang wow, yung mga tao can afford this, can afford that, na very,
Oo.
'di ba? So na-impress siya. And then he started doing tours, and then I think he went to he went to Singapore nga, in Japan. And then that's
Mm.
where he talagang tried to figure out what they can apply in China. And then when he went back to China, doon na nagbago na yung 'di ba? Nagbago na yung kanilang
What really helped him
policies.
out with his visit in Singapore is parang for him, nakita niya, kung kaya ng Singapore, which is majority Chinese culture din yung mga tao, then it should work for us. Kasi parang,
Mm.
he still had the doubts when he sees it in Europe and he sees it in other countries na parang, ay, magkakaiba yung mga tao eh. Baka naman kasi may kinalaman sa iba yung kanilang kultura. Pero nung
Mm.
nakita niya sa Singapore, oh, gumagana sa kanila yung sistemang to. Eh sila Chinese sila, tayo Chinese din. Sabi niya, shit, God, dapat gawin natin. Let's do the same. So that's
Mm.
what made him decide, sige, try ko nga yan. Try ko yan sa Shenzhen muna. So he opened up Shenzhen and ginawa niyang parang open port
Guangdong, 'di
right
ba?
next.
Yung right,
Guangdong is the name of the province. Guangdong is the name of the
uh,
province, and
and Shenzhen is okay.
he chose a small village on the border with Hong Kong called
Mm.
Shenzhen.
Tapos I found it very interesting yung the way nag-start lang sila. Actually, they had 'di ba ang China had so many boats na medyo dilapidated na. So they scrapped that, and then they sold it to that's the first, I think, trade that they did with Hong Kong. And
Mm.
Hong Kong got all the syempre, raw materials from the scrap that China produced. And dyan na nagsimula yung parang engagement ng dalawang, well, Hong Kong as a territory in China. And they started the parang yung parang he started with small, 'di ba? Small increments. They started with one territory. He started
Mm.
with a place where it's right across Hong Kong. And then from there, when they saw that it was working, then they applied it to the
Everywhere else, yeah.
everywhere else in China.
And now China has become a superpower thanks to that.
Yeah.
So they got
After
rich
40 years, no?
because of
40 years, Ryan. Oh.
yeah, just because they decided to become open to foreign direct investors. They realized, oh, kaya natin to. So ngayon ang yaman na nila. 'Di ba? Kaya nga sila yung nagpo-produce ng maraming mga yun nga yung mga iPhones and all that stuff. Now, sayang kasi the Philippines should have been that, but then ang
Yeah.
yabang kasi maraming mga Pilipino, lalo na yung mga engot na taga UP eh. Ang dami diyan. I'm sorry kung tatama ako talaga UP, pero totoo naman eh. Alam naman ng lahat na ang UP pagawaan ng mga komunista. Kaya dapat talaga, yung mga komunistang yan, mga kadre na yan, nagagaling na nasa UP, yari yung mga professor na yan na si Jerry Lanusa, yung mga ganyan, recruiter ng ano yan, padala nyo na yan sa Spratlys. Ilagay dyan sa isang isla. Diyan kayo gawa kayo ng sarili nyong communist nyo na Diyan kayo sa isang isla, gawa kayo ng ano nyo, republika ng mga komunistang bobo. Yan, diyan na kayo. So, pakita niyo sa amin na kaya nyong ipatakbo yung pagiging komunista nyo. Pakita nyo sa amin, prove nyo sa amin na kaya nyo. Prove nyo sa amin na maganda yung sistema nyo. Di ba? Ganyan dapat. Yan dapat ang ginagawa sa mga engot na yan.
They're still living ano no, parang a fantasy no. Kasi yan na nga eh. Ayan na ang China. Ayan na yung Soviet Union na wala na. They've ceased to exist. You have Eastern Germany na wala na rin ang East Germany.
Kaya nga eh.
Ang
Nawala
ano
na nga
siguro,
lahat. Lahat na nga ng mga bansa. Tapos yun nga, itong mga bansang tulad ng China at saka Vietnam, pareho silang mga communist-led, pero sila yung mga very, very open sa pagpasok ng foreign investors. So, ano ba talaga? Ang tanga, para bang ang napaka-backward at baryotic ng mga komunista ng Pilipinas? Yun yung nakakainis eh. At pati na rin yung mga hindi komunista sa Pilipinas, ang dami pa rin kasi na brainwash nga sila nitong anti-foreign investor na ideology na yan. Ang daming tatanga-tanga. Kaya nga, may iba tayong mga kilala na galing sa UP, ayan. Nakapanghinayang na dala sila sa ganyang wrong ideology na yan. Ay, nako.
So what do we do Orion na meron tayong issue with people like that no na talagang stuck with their ideology.
That's why I formed the Correct Movement with a few other like-minded people back in 2010, because we felt that we couldn't just do it like ranting on our own. We need to really spread the word that this wrong ideology is getting us nowhere, and we have to counter it. So yun, I was like really going head on against yung mga nagpupush ng mga wrong ideas na yan. So yun nga, lalo na yun palang brainwashing na lang na yung foreign investors are evil, yung mga ganyan-ganyan. Pinag-usapan nga yan sa Singapore dati na back in the 1960s daw, sabi nila, that was a dominant na yan. Matagal na yan, 1960s pa yan, dominant na yung ganyang pag-iisip na wrong daw yung mga investors, yung mga foreign investors. Pero they said, you know what? We have to think outside of the box, kasi if we don't have enough local businessmen, what are we going to do? We cannot wait for the local businessmen to become yung mga buy and sell lang, yung mga operator ng mall, yung mga taho vendor. We cannot wait for them to become big businessmen and then start creating jobs for our people. We need the jobs now. So yun yung sinabi ni Lee Kuan Yew. Let's bring the jobs from abroad, bring them into Singapore. But why are we, us Filipinos, not doing this? Because so many of us have been brainwashed. I remember, college ako, pagdating ko sa college, pati sa Ateneo, college, ang dami ko rin narinig ng mga, I'm not going to, I hate foreign investors, ganyan, foreign multinational companies are evil. There was one guy na he became student council president. Sabi niya, foreign investors, multinationals, they suck the country dry. They suck the country dry, but he has some kind of a tongue issue. So he says they suck the country dry. But now and then, many years later, he started working for a foreign company here in Singapore. I mean, like, hey, come on, man. I'm not going to say who that is. But
we have a message here. It's merely political will. The legislature can do anything when they deem it is necessary. The thing is that there are too many overstaying people thereon who are just after preserving their power and influence and not really getting what the people need. So then what we need are fresh public servants to replace all of them. There needs to be term limits to all top government positions. We have so many talents waiting to be discovered. We need to change our election system to accommodate everyone. Easy to just say, ganun Orion.
Easy to say, but then there's a lot of wrong stuff there in what he said, because it's not just merely political will. If you have the wrong system in place, obviously you're not going to have the right kinds of people in place as well. That's why you need a system change. And then also, again, this is another brainwashing issue of many Pinoys. Oh, we need term limits. Filipinos, politicians need to be term limited so that they don't stay on forever. No, that's wrong. Actually, there's a lot of research, international research that proves that term limits are actually worse. Because when you have term limits, you're artificially stopping the term of a person who may be actually still wanted by the people in his electorate. If he's
Mm,
doing a good job, let him stay. I mean, well, what's the point of this whole term limit thing? Actually, it worsens things. It's what worsened the dynasties um in the Philippines. Once you started having term limits, what happened was people who had projects, long-term projects, for example, a mayor with a long-term project that was going beyond his term, he needed to get someone from his family, someone he could trust, to continue for him so that the project would not get stopped if some opposing side actually got in. So
mm,
that's actually how we ended up with more dynasties. We had dynasties because of the term limits. So there are very clear studies about this. Look up Pablo Querubin and look at he's Colombian, not Filipino. Pablo Querubin was a Colombian PhD who studied the Philippines, and then also Yuko Kasuya. She's a Japanese political scientist, also a PhD as well, and she also studied this, and she clearly saw that term limits are actually bad. I mean, there are so many more researchers, PhDs, who have researched about term limits. Term limits are actually bad. Okay, they're not good. So let's stop this only in the Philippines bullshit. You know, so many Filipinos have been brainwashed by wrong information to think that foreign investors are bad, term limits are good. We need, come on, man. Well, presidential system is good, blah blah blah. But that's wrong. We need to look at the best, the global practices. Not just, I mean, look, sometimes we just look at the rest of our neighbors. Look at Malaysia. Malaysia is majority of the people are like Pinoys. They're, kalahi natin, kayumanggi. Their languages are similar to ours, and they have really better results because they're open to foreign investors. They have a parliamentary system, and as a result of their parliamentary system, they still end up having better quality leaders than we have for the longest time. So, come on, guys, let's stop being bariotic and stuck in this only in the Philippines mindset. Let's get rid of that. Let's look internationally, look outside. Be more like Rizal and the intelligentsia, the ilustrados of before. That's what made them great. The ilustrados and Rizal. What made them great was that they learned a lot of stuff from outside. It was not that, oh, labanan natin ng mga Kastila. That's not what their battle cry was. Their battle cry was, ang nakita namin sa Europa at sa Espanya, gawin sa Pilipinas. Ang mga mabubuting nakikita natin, gawin natin sa Pilipinas. Yung pagtuturo ng siyensya at ng lohika, ituro sa Pilipinas. Yun yung gusto nila. Hindi yung tanggalin natin yung mga Kastila. Yun yung doon nagkakamali yung maraming mga nasyonalista. Hindi yun ang pinaglalaban ni Rizal. Hindi yun ang mga pinaglalaban ng mga Luna. Si Luna nga si Antonio Luna. Kailan ba yan sumali sa gera? Hindi siya sumali against the Spaniards. Sumali siya against the Americans. Doon siya sumali. Yun. Anyway, kinaklaro lang natin lahat yan.
yeah, may warped view. This is probably a psychological explanation to how people think, or na when they reach a certain point in their beliefs na parang there's no looking back, Orion. There's no way to convince them that this is the wrong way because they've invested so much of their time and effort and energies to a particular crusade. And I think na sa tingin nila na because what they're doing is for the country, and yung tingin nila na yung way na to ay the only way, um, and they feel emboldened or empowered by the thinking na hindi natin kailangan yung mga ano na yun eh. Hindi natin kailangan yung mga foreign investments na yan. Hindi natin kailangan ng mga na maging Tapos ang sinabi pa nila, Ryan, baliktad na daw ngayon. Hindi na daw, dahil mas marami daw mga countries now na uh, the
Nagpo-protectionist, bobo nga eh, stupid.
nagiging
Yung mga
protectionist
komunistang
na
yan,
na
lalo na
ano.
yung mga taga-UP na yan, mga gago yan. You look at the backgrounds of all these people na nagpapaka-kontra-kontra. They're mostly from UP. Yung mga komunista na yan, mostly from UP. And then even the semi-communist ones, they're all from UP. I mean, putang ina talaga. Bulok talaga ng UP talaga eh. Tang inang yan. Bulok talaga, putang inang UP na yan. Dapat talaga baguhin na, i-revamp na yan. Lahat ng mga komunista, tanggalin na yan. Ipadala dyan sa Spratlys. Magano, tatag kayo ng sarili ninyong republika. Republika ng mga komunistang bugok. Diyan na kayo. Sige, pakita nyo sa amin. Tapos, pero may pabaon tayo. Ang gawin natin sa Pilipinas, tayo, kumbaga, itapon natin sila, ipadala yung mga Navy ships natin, papadala sila doon. Tapos, pero bibigyan natin sila ng mga fishing rod, mga lambat, mga ano, tapos may mga sacks of rice din sila na parang pabaon. No? Sige, 2 years worth of sacks of rice, mga canned goods, ganyan. At saka may mga manok. O yan, manok at baboy. O yan, ano yan. Sige, kayo, bahala na kayo dyan. Leave them alone. Ayan. Pero may radyo sila. May radyo sila doon sa sa kanilang lugar. Na pwede nila i-radyo yung Navy at saka Coast Guard na, "Sir, kailangan namin ayaw na namin sa komunismo, sir." So pwede silang tumawag. Sige. Pero kung kailangan niyo ng tulong na ayaw niyo na sa komunismo, meron kayong dito, solar powered na na radio set. Ayan. So iano niyo lang kami, tawagin niyo lang kami, kukunin namin kayo, pero may kayo, parang kumbaga manunumpa kayo, naka-video kayo na isusumpa ninyo na bulok ang komunismo, ayaw niyo sa mga komunismo, dapat mamatay ang mga komunista. Sabihin niyo 'yan sa tas i-broadcast natin lahat. So, yan ang parang diyan, na parang kapag kayo ay napadala diyan sa Spratlys na yan, yung isang isla sa Spratlys, at hindi ninyo nakayanan yung pagtatag ninyo ng sarili ninyong communist society, at na kayo, parang nawawala na kayo ng hope dyan sa nyo, edi pwede kayo magradyo. Mararadyo nyo yung Coast Guard o yung Navy. Sir, may problema kami. Ano yung problema nyo? Sir, naubusan na kami ng pagkain. Ayaw na talaga namin sa komunismo. Over. Sige, susundin namin kayo. Pero kailangan ninyo ng manunumpa kayo na bulok ang komunismo. Yan. So, yun dapat na mangyari. Ha? Di ba? Mga taga-UP na yan eh. Tang-inang pulang kwentang
It must be a treat to be inside your brain, Orion. In fairness to most people who are from UP, hindi naman ilang porsyento lang naman yung mga
That's true naman. That's actually true na hindi naman sila lahat. Kasi ang dami ko rin ng mga kaibigan na taga-UP na anti din sa ganyan. But they themselves, yung mga kaibigan taga-UP, ang nagsasabi, putang ina talaga yung mga iba dyan sa UP. Talaga kailangan i-purge. Sila mismo nagsasabi na kailangan i-purge talaga. And it depends also kasi for example, may mga galing dun sa BA, yung Business Administration na faculty. Yung mga doon sila nag-college. Normal sila na tao. Pero yung mga nasa outside of that, lalo na yung mga nasa arts, yung mga parang napupunta sila sa mga wrong mga maling landas talaga eh. Nagiging lalo na yung napupunta sa yung mga philosophy, ay ang dami sa kanila nagiging komunista, tangina talaga.
Sa reading materials nila, Orion, no? Yung mga libro na binabasa nila.
Pero I think the problem din kasi is kasi maraming Pilipino na hindi naman taga-UP nakikinig din sa kanila, and kasi nga yung prevailing notion sa Pilipinas is kailangan nating maging sarado sa parang outside, parang wala tayong influences galing sa labas. Parang gusto nila sariling atin. Ayaw nila nung mga any ideas from outside, kahit na ba ito yung mga parang so-called good ideas from abroad, no? So nangyayari, nako-close-minded yung maraming mga tao. Tapos pag nakarinig sila ng parang syempre ipapackage ng mga komunismo mga komunista in a nice way yung komunismo. Parang kami ang mga tunay na mga makabayan, blah blah blah. So nadadala yung iba wide-eyed, oy talaga, oo nga no. So nadadala sila. Pero kung open-minded sila about ideas from abroad, makikita nila, bulok naman yung komunismo nyo. Actually, matagal na ngang patay na yung komunismo, bakit may naniniwala pa hanggang ngayon? I can understand back in the 1950s and 1960s, naniniwala sila sa ganyan. Parang, ano pa yun hindi pa naman nagpo-fall yung Berlin Wall, hindi pa na nagpo-fall yung USSR nung time na yun. Pero
Hmm.
ngayon, puta, lahat ng tao, kitang-kita natin, bulok na bulok ang komunismo, tapos hanggang ngayon, meron pa rin mga Sara Elago, tsaka mga Sarate, tsaka Colmenares, sino pa dyan? Teddy Casino, tangina.
Pero ang
Dapat wala
talaga,
na yung mga yan sa
ang totoo,
practice.
ang totoo dyan, Orion, napakaliit na porsyento lang ng UP ang mga nanggugulo at maiingay.
Yeah, and that's true. That's true. Pero what I'm saying though is maraming mga tao doon na pumapasok na sa UP na dadala sila nung prevailing tawag nito discourse na yan. So that discourse of course is spread out by a small vocal few, but then it becomes the dominant discourse. So that even yung mga taong hindi naman sumasali sa pagiging komunista, nadadala sila. So tingnan mo, kunyari, sina Kiko Pangilinan. Oh, right
Pero
now,
ano yun,
you won't think he's
sa
not a
tingin mo ba,
communist.
sa
Di
tingin mo
ba?
ba ano lang to, it's all smoke and mirrors itong mga ingay na nanggagaling dito sa maliit na porsyento ng populasyon ng UP. Kasi sila rin yung kino-quote at parating kumbaga pinapakinggan ng ating mainstream media. Kung ano yung mga pinapalabas nila, kunyari pag nagrarally sila, pinapalabas ng media. So ang tingin tuloy ng tao, ganyan ba taga lahat mga taga-UP? Although they don't really represent the entire population of UP, karamihan sa mga taga-UP, hindi ganyan mag-isip. And the thing is, we have to understand also the way they recruit people over there. Yung ang kanilang target are the vulnerable kids. Yung mga
No, that's
kids
true. That's true. I know how they recruit. But what I'm saying is, they have actually, and mismo mga taga-UP ang nagsabi nito, na unfortunately nga, that leftist communist thought process has become the mainstream inside UP, such that even yung mga taong hindi kasama dun sa LFS, hindi sumasali dun, na brainwash pa rin sila nung pagiging anti-foreign investor. So meaning to say, kahit hindi ka radikal, hindi ka sumasali sa ganyan, kasi yun yung prevailing thought process doon sa loob ng UP. Kahit hindi ka sumali sa ganyang grupo, nadadala ka pa rin sa pagiging anti-foreign investor. Yun ang problema sa UP. Yun yung sinasabi ko. Yun yung sinasabi ko. Kasi
So sa tingin mo,
hindi naman sila lahat nagiging komunista Ito mo, si Kiko Pangilinan, for example ngayon, hindi naman siya komunista, pero dala pa rin niya hanggang ngayon yung mga fake news na yan na foreign investors are wrong, blah, 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 blah. Dala pa rin niya yun That's the
si ano
problem.
naman si Kiko Maching ay ang kanyang he's a full-blooded politician. So anything that he can say that would make the administration look bad, he'll say it. And if ever he does believe in the things that he says, talagang may ano siya. Hindi, yun nga pinag-usapan namin the other day, Orion ng isang kaibigan ko na may-ari ng tribo sandals or slippers. Sabi niya na tsaka isang friend ko na taga Davao, sabi niya, ito si Kiko Pangilinan, sa tingin mo kung hindi niya naging napangasawa si Sharon Cuneta, ay mananalo sa
Hindi
pagkasenado?
mananalo yun. Wala yun. Wala.
So saan ba
Zero.
nanggaling yung Kiko Pangilinan na to? Well, to begin with. Natalo nga daw sa kung ano, nung tumakbo yan pagka kongresista nung back in the 90s. Hindi pa niya asawa si Sharon, hindi nga manalo yan na in Congress. Tapos nung naging asawa na si Sharon, 5 years later, naging senador. Oh.
Kaya nga bad trip. By the way, I just wanted to make an announcement. Bukas at tomorrow, Saturday, the 13th, merong from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, merong parang symposium ang Publicus and Tandem, Tanggulang Demokrasya. And two of my original co-founders from the Correct Movement are handling the event sa Tandem. So si Dindo Donato, attorney Dindo Donato, and engineer Arnel Endrinal, they are originally my co-founders sa Correct Movement, no, from back in 2010. And yun, we're going to be discussing the the People's Draft. So sana punta kayo bukas. I'm going to put that on the Correct Movement page, yung link doon. And basically itong this will be tackling yung difference between yung sa Bayanihan draft and then yung Bayanihan Federalism draft and then the People's Draft, no? So yeah, please find the time to check it out. Si Father Rani is going to be there.
Mm.
I'm going to be there as a panelist. And Sec Gary Olivar will also be there.
Okay.
So yun.
Nice. Sounds good. Tomorrow, no? Anong oras yun?
Tomorrow, 2 p.m. 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Sabi ni Pierre Soriano, mga sirs, tama ba na dapat ang mga nasa opposition ngayon, sila pa yung nagpo-promote ng parliamentary system para kasama pa rin sa government through shadow parliament? Para kung may issue sila, harap-harapan nilang sasabihin sa administrasyon through question hour at hindi puro press con sa mga mainstream media. Mas pabor din yun sa mainstream media, tataas ang ratings nila sa harapang bakbakan. Kaya nga maraming nanonood ng Tulfo at face-to-face dati ni Chang Ami Perez at TV5. Look, ako, ang masasabi ko dyan, Orayo, no, ang opposition, in the real sense of the word, they're just there to oppose anything the government wants to do. So if you think the opposition will support a change of the constitution that will, totally revamp the form of government that we are using right now into a parliamentary form of government, medyo malayo sa katotohanan yan. Kasi unang-una, they thrive, like most lawmakers right now, they thrive in this current system. Because they control it. Why would they change something that's a big advantage to them? Yun ang pinaka-problema or pinaka-stumbling block natin ngayon sa pagbabago ng form of government. Kasi yung mga tao na who are in this system, wala na, they're enjoying this already. They're actually thriving. They're making money out of it. Why would they change it? So we need new representation in Congress. We need new blood. We need people who are progressive, who are really thinking about the welfare of the general public. Kasi kung we were going to depend on the current siguro Orion, the current lineup of politicians, medyo malabo yun. Unang-una, hindi nga nila naiintindihan kung ano yung parliamentary system eh. Pati federal form of government. So do you expect these people to actually support something that they don't understand and they're not sure?
And that's the problem. That's the problem. It's supposed to be up to them to study. It's their responsibility to know what are the options available. But they're so stupid and they're so unable to understand anything outside of what they already know. Yung basically nandiyan pa rin sila sa only in the Philippines na mode and mindset. Na wala silang ability na intindihan na there's something actually better than what they currently have. Naka-DOS pa rin sila, yung parang yung mga lumang operating system pa rin sila. Hindi nila alam. Meron ng mga bago. Meron ng mga bagong sistema na newer, better. Doon pa rin sila sa lumang sistema. Tapos bulok, outdated na nga. Ayan pa rin. Diba? Yun yung nakakainis.
Ito tanong ko sa Ryan, sa 200 plus or 300 or 200 plus na congressmen natin. Ilan sa tingin mo dyan ang kaya mag-participate sa question hour kung naging parliamentary system? Sa
tingin ko actually there's probably at least 10% who can. There's
No?
at least there's 10% who can. And I think that's the whole point of why we need to change over. Kasi pag nag-change over tayo, yung mga right now, diba, we have this current crop of congressmen and senators. So if you move them over to a new system where it actually takes more of their time, matatanggal talaga ang mga taong, yung kumbaga on their own, magki-quit yung mga, parang hindi na magra-run for re-election. Yung mga taong nag-suffer yung kanilang personal lives. Kasi nga, parliamentary system really takes a lot of time. It's very, very demanding. Right? So, right now, pabanjing-banjing ang marami. But once you have a parliamentary system, it really forces them to really take so much time. Kasi nga, they have to also have outside meetings eh. You know, ang nangyayari sa Philippines right now, yung mga parties, hindi sila nagkakaroon ng mga ng mga yung parang outside meeting. Tingnan mo pati nga PDP Laban, which is the president's party ang gulo-gulo ng PDP Laban. Parang si President na PDP Laban na sinasabi niyang kailangan natin ng mga reforma, yung iba niyang mga kasama na PDP Laban, hindi naman sumusunod sa kung ano yung sinasabi. Tingnan mo yung iba diyang mga PDP Laban na mayor ng mga syudad kumukontra sa sa constitutional reform. Para bang part yan ng pinaglalaban ng PDP Laban tapos ayaw yung parang wala silang parang tawag dyan yung coordination. But in countries that use parliamentary systems, they have to coordinate. So, kung ano yung oras na meron sila sa trabaho during office hours, meron pa silang outside of office hours na kinakailangan nila mag-meet as a party. So, it will really eat up a lot of time. And so, yung mga talagang tunay na dedicated, sila lang yung mananatili. Sila lang ang magsa-thrive. Yung mga walang kwenta na pabanjing-banjing lang, ay wala yan. Matatanggal. They will quit by themselves. They will say, magnenegosyo na lang ako, magiging salesman na lang ako ng insurance imbis na magpasok dito kasi talagang I'm not gonna do a good job in this role. Makakainin lang ako, matatalo ako lagi sa debate. Hindi naman din ako mananalo.
Ganun ang magiging pag-iisip ng itong mga incumbents natin kasi first of all, there's a lot of money at stake here. Do you think they'll just easily give up on it once we do have a different system of government? They're gonna try to circumvent that. One thing that's for sure na medyo may diskarte itong mga politician natin, pag merong bagong batas, hahanap ng paraan yan kung paano nila paikutan or paano nila...
And the good thing about having a parliamentary system is in that system, you're gonna try to circumvent it. But the only way for you to do a good to make money or to do something better is to do a good job. Unlike sa ngayon it's even if you're not doing a good job basta marunong ka lang madiskarte ka lang you'll get through. Pero sa parliamentary system tataasan yung sweldo nyo kayong mga kongresista pero wala na kayong mga pork barrel na pwede nyo i-kickbackan. Pero tataas ang sweldo nyo lalo na yung mga senior members of the party kasi some of you will also become cabinet ministers. So magkaka-dual role kayo. You're going to be both a legislator and at the same time, you're going to be a cabinet minister. Ganun sa Singapore. As yung mga tao dito sa Singapore na nasa gabinete, they have a salary as an MP, as a member of parliament, and on top of that, an extra salary for the role they play as ministers. That's for the top level members of yung mga senior members of parliament. Kasi nga like the Prime Minister of Singapore, he is a member of parliament for his district, which is where I am here in the Ang Mo Kio district, GRC ang tawag. And then he has his extra salary as the Prime Minister of Singapore. So mataas talaga yung kinikita nila, and they don't need to do these mga pork barrel, wala na. Pero yun nga, you just need to become really good within your party to get to that kind of position. That's how you're going to you want to make money, well you have to be good. That's how it's going to work in this new system.
Sabi ni Jules Mercado, mga sirs, do we need to reform the Filipino style of work? If FDI do flock in the Philippines to integrate well with foreign style of work, or will it just happen on its own? Baka magrereklamo lang ang mga Pinoy pagdating ng mga investments kasi nasanay sa papetiks-petiks lang na trabaho kasi as we know, ang trabaho sa labas especially base dito sa many hats as you can take, di ba?
It will happen on its own. It will happen on its own. So
corporate culture that's quite different in a foreign country. Pansinin niyo mga Pilipino pag nagtatrabaho abroad, iba yung kanilang work ethic as no kaysa sa mga Pilipino nagtatrabaho dito.
Actually, marami mga Pilipino naman pag nagtatrabaho sila sa Pilipinas in a foreign company, nagiging ano talaga sila kasi yung work
Professional.
yung nagiging professional sila kasi nga yun yung expectation ng kanilang company eh. It's an American company, it has an American culture. Or a Japanese company, it has a Japanese culture. So they're forced to conform with the culture of the company. And that's why actually mas maganda talaga magkaroon tayo ng maraming foreign direct investments para yung mga multinational companies na meron silang best practices based on the countries where they're from, may impluwensyahan nila yung kultura ng mga Pilipino para maging mas global yung standards. Hindi yung, kasi nga, ang nangyayari, marami sa mga Pinoy companies, lalo na't yung mga Pinoy government offices dati, marami dyan, unfortunately, before, especially long ago, petics talaga ang lumalabas. Pero, pag nagkaroon na corporatize na yung culture ng mga maraming mga foreign direct investors na dumating, magiging world class yung kultura. Kasi yung mga walang kwenta tatanggalin agad eh. Tapos yung mga kunyari yung mga magagaling na Pilipino na nandun nasa abroad nagtatrabaho, magsisibalikan na rin 'yan. They will then, with all that experience that they have abroad, they will then become the higher level supervisors, managers, and top directors in those foreign companies in the Philippines na nakita yung kanilang resume, uy, 15 years ka pala sa Hewlett Packard dito sa Singapore or sa whatever country. Ganyan, uy, maganda yung work experience nito. Kukunin nila dun sa Philippines, dun sa foreign company sa Pilipinas na kasi kita nila, uy, compatible yung kanyang work culture sa amin. So, magra-rub off yung ganyang kultura na yan sa mga taong nandun sa Pilipinas, sa loob ng foreign company sa Pilipinas. So, don't worry about it. It's gonna happen by itself. It's gonna happen by itself. That's how it works. That's what we want.
Sabi ni Sean Jacob Mendoza, we are rewarding the lazy while punishing the diligent. This is the system that we have in the Philippines. It's even applicable to our government. Yeah, to a certain extent. Medyo
To a
totoo
certain
yan.
extent, yeah. That's why we need to change the system talaga.
And pansinin ninyo, I mean, hindi ko naman nilalahat Orion. You've had experience working here in the Philippines. But one thing that you'll notice about very sa ating mga companies, merong nagiging boss na hindi naman karapat-dapat na maging boss. Maraming mga nasa posisyon not because of merit, but because magaling silang sumipsip. Tapos once they're in the management level, you can tell that this person doesn't know squat about what he's doing.
And that's common sa mga common 'yun sa mga family corporations. Sa mga marami sa mga family corporations na alam mo yung parang family member lang tapos katatapos na ng college, ayan, sige bigyan natin ng si pinsan mo, ayan, bigyan natin ng posisyon, 'yun. Pero napasok siya sa posisyon na wala, hindi naman talaga siya magaling. Pero kasi family member siya, nandiyan siya. Yun
So,
nangyayari.
yun yung yung itong mga nararanasan natin, yung mga mini-mention nating mga viewers about sa problema natin sa gobyerno. Paminsan pag pumunta ka sa isang ahensya, nagtataka ka, bakit kulang sa pagiging professional tong mga tao na to? The way they deal with the public. Siyempre, people go there to get services from the government. Pero the way yung pagiging polite lang Orion, or treating people in a very civil way, hindi nila magawa. Masyado silang mataray, or pinapagalitan pa nila yung siniserbisyo nila. At hindi uso yung sa atin Orion yung term na servant leadership, which is very prominent now in highly advanced countries, di ba?
Yeah. Actually, I would say that becomes common in a parliamentary system, the servant leadership. Kasi number one, yung leader mo sa yung tunay na decision maker is the prime minister, di ba? The prime minister, the word minister is actually parang he's a servant. He's basically a servant of the crown. So when kaya nga yung they use the word minister to administer when you administer first aid. That's what they use that word, diba? Yung the word minister there kasi yung tumutulong ka sa tao, sa ibang sa kapwa-tao, tumutulong ka sa someone higher than you. So the word minister kasi comes from the fact that these are people who are yung mga kagawad bang tawag diyan, or yung mga parang you are the gisuguan ba? Parang may tawag yun, yung mga tauhan ng yung ng hari, something like that. So
Mm.
you are a servant of the king, no? So the king or the monarch in a constitutional monarchy, for example, so he basically doesn't do much, right? But they ensure that parang they are the guardians of protocol and of proper procedure. If you've watched The Crown, they talk a lot about this. And the prime minister who has all the real power must always regularly submit himself or herself to the monarch. So the monarch doesn't really do much, but they have to represent. They have to. The prime minister needs to parang to bow before the monarch, report progress on, sir, ito po yung mga bagong nangyayari sa amin, ganyan ganyan. So yung prime minister will always be humble in front of the king or the queen, no? So servant leadership, parang nai-ingrain yung pagiging servant leadership kasi merong tao mas mataas sa iyo. You
Mm.
are not the prime minister is not the top person. There is someone higher than the
Mhm.
prime minister, right? And so you may be the most powerful in terms of having access to all the powers, but you're not the most important person. There's someone higher than you who has technically merely delegated his or her true power to you. That's the concept of a parliamentary system. Now, in a parliamentary republic like in Singapore, that position of the monarch is given to a president, a ceremonial president, who also again has that similarly high ceremonial role. The prime minister must regularly visit every week the president and report progress and say, sir, ito na po yung nangyayari dito, yung COVID namin medyo nagka-problema kami. Tapos sasabihin ng president or ng monarch, so may problema pala diyan, hindi ayusin niyo ha, ganyan ganyan. So parang may hierarchy pa rin na yung prime minister actually mas mababa siya sa isang taong mas mataas. So yung taong may maraming power is actually below someone else. And that someone else represents the people. So yun yung nagiging mas stronger yung concept of servant leadership sa parliamentary system kasi nga every week yung taong may pinakamaraming poder kinakailangang magbow, mag-report, magpakumbaba doon sa taong mas importante sa kanya, who is the head of state.
Mm.
Yun,
Yung,
yun yung nangyayari.
yung interpretation ko sa servant leadership, which was mentioned to me by a Filipino American who is now a vice president in this tech company in the States. Ang kanyang servant leadership, the definition over there in the States is that um, it's not about um, being boss, and then
Yeah, yeah. You're basically a servant. And
you
that's
are
the same thing in a parliamentary system kasi hindi ka naman talaga boss eh. Ang tunay na ang minister, kaya nga prime minister ka kasi hindi ka naman talaga boss. You're a leader, you're a servant to someone else who represents the people. You are technically a servant of the people.
and even the way they relate with somebody who's supposed to be a subordinate, it's different. It's not you telling them what to do. It's more on what can I do for you to make your job better.
Yes,
Parang,
yes.
diba?
That's how they now do things in multinational companies.
Yeah.
That you don't get in a Pinoy company in the Philippines. You get that in where I'm working right now. Ganun din. It's how can we empower you? So how can we help
Mm,
you to
yes.
do better? Ganun eh. Hindi yung ikaw gagawa ka nito. Hindi eh.
Oh, dapat ito i-produce mo ha. Ito dapat yung quota mo ha. Dapat ma-reach mo yan.
Hindi ganun eh. Oh. It's a different narrative in many foreign companies. Kaya nga sa totoo lang, mas maganda talaga dumami ang mga foreign companies. In fact, sa Singapore, the government in fact patterned a lot of how they work in government in Singapore according to how a lot of Dutch companies work. So they learned from Shell, they learned from
Mm.
Philips, and they learned from British and American companies as well. So lahat ng mga kasi ang dami nga nilang naging mga foreign companies na pumunta sa Singapore. So they really did what they could to learn from these companies kasi gusto nilang nagustuhan kasi ni Lee Kuan Yew yung corporate culture na very efficient eh. So sabi niya, gayahin natin 'yan. So yun, ang dami sa mga naging mga civil servants nila later on, mga taong nakapagdaan sa pagwo-work sa mga foreign companies. And some of them basta they really learned from these companies as much as they could.
Uh,
Best practices talaga ang style ng Singapore. Learning best practices lagi.
there's something we can learn from this conversation kasi Orion eh. Kasi first of all, when we talk about reforms, we have to think about also yung prevailing attitude, yung behavior ng karamihan na, for example, people who are working in government, our politicians. Why do they enter politics to begin with? Why do they want to be congressmen? Apart from the fact that they can actually enrich themselves being in position. The other thing, kasi I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, and people can also say, if you're a politician yourself, you can tell me I'm wrong. But most of them, they're not there to actually serve. They're there because they like to be empowered. They like the fact that they're congressman. As a matter of fact, karamihan sa ating mga nakakilala na nagtatrabaho sa gobyerno, hindi lang naman sa gobyerno, kahit sa private sector, they want to be called, they want people to use their title in addressing them. Like attorney,
Oo
congressman.
nga eh. Oo
Diba?
nga eh.
Ganun eh. Ganun parang napaka-important. Doctor. Call me doctor. Don't call me Pero as opposed to what happens in a first world country, they don't like you to address them as sir. They
First
don't
name lang. First
First
name
name
lahat.
lang, diba? Call me Orion. Don't call me sir. Just call me Orion. So, dyan pa lang yung mindset, iba na kaagad eh. And it may be a very small thing when we talk about it, but in truth, it reflects an underlying problem that needs to be addressed if you want talagang profound reforms in government and in definitely sa ating what we're trying to advocate here, Orion, in
Mm.
in changing the
Tsaka pala,
constitution.
Ron,
Mm.
ipakita mo yung kay Dorsey de la San
Ah,
the sixth ito here in the Netherlands yan sabi niya masyadong mga polite na mga tao dito and then well the other thing is alala ko yung may lumabas na video dati 2 years ago na yung si Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte
mm,
creates an internet storm when he spilled coffee. Nag-spill siya ng coffee, nagkamali siya, nag-spill ng coffee niya. Tapos kumuha siya ng map. Siya na yung nag-map. Kasi nahiya siya na, ay nako, nag-spill ako. So parang
mm,
walang, sa Pilipinas pa yun, ay pakuha ng sige pa.
mm,
Parang ibang tao yung gagawa. Hindi siya,
mm,
nahihiya siya eh. Kasi
mm,
ganun na sila eh. Naging egalitarian society na ang mga nasa Europe. Dahil nga, sa gumanda yung kanilang mga economy because of their open economy, because maraming trabaho, yumaman na mga tao. So kahit yung ordinaryong tao na janitor, parang equal lang tingin ng mga tao sa isa't isa. Equal talaga. Wala na yung mga sir, wala na mga ganyan mas matataas. So yun yung nangyayari. Kailangan ng Pilipinas magkaroon ng ganyang klaseng economic revolution
mm.
para mawala na yung mga distinction na sino yung mayaman, sino yung hindi, sino yung tatawagin kong sir, sino yung ganyan. Wala nang ganon. First name basis na lang.
Tsaka if we go by the yung Maslow hierarchy of needs, nasa level pa tayo ng basic
Oo, basic pa rin eh.
basic necessities pa rin tayo. 80% of our
Oo.
population are still poor. So they can't really think of this medyo kumbaga yung level of understanding nila of life and the country is nasa level pa ng basic needs nila. That's why they can't we can't it reflects actually yung ating kongreso reflects the level of understanding ng ating mga tao kasi the ones who are voting for them may kita mo kagad yung quality na hindi ganun kataas. Because
Yeah, yeah.
the electorate, medyo mababa pa yung kanilang kumbaga participation, yung level of of education. Kasi pag tumaas yan, pag mas naiintindihan nila yung mga systems of government, yung participatory democracy, hindi na yan boboto ng mga bobo sa Kongreso.
Exactly,
Hindi na
exactly.
sila madaling utuin, hindi na sila madadala sa
Kasi
500
kasi
pesos.
right now kasi yun nga, short term masyado yung pangangailangan nila eh. So sino yung makakapagbigay sa amin ng ayuda? Sino yung makakapagbigay sa amin ng abuloy o ng tulong na
Hmm.
maliit lang na tulong para lang sa aming pag-aaraw-araw na needs. Eh kung dumami yung mga trabaho ng mga tao, may sariling ano sila, they become more independent minded. And
Tama.
then nawawala na yung kanilang pagiging mapagkumbaba. Sir, ganyan, ay, kailangan namin ng tulong niyo. Wala nang ganoon.
Oo.
Ang magiging attitude ng mga botante gagawin nyo ba yung sinasabi nyo? Sila
Hmm.
dapat nga yung botante yung mayabang Dapat yung botante ang nagsasabi, sino ka ba? Ano ba yung mabibigay nyo sa amin na natulong sa aming society? Hindi yung mga ano lang, mga pipitsugin lang ng mga binibigay-bigay nyo. Anong maaayos nyo sa ating ano?
Hmm. Hmm.
Wala
We should
dapat
earn
maging
our
ganun. Yeah,
yung
you should earn our vote. Dapat nga demanding ang mga tao
na tapos dapat talagang binubusisi nila bago sila bumoto ng isang tao. Okay, humihingi itong tao na to, hinihingi ang boto ko. Ano bang nagawa nito para sa akin? Ano bang nagawa nito para sa aking komunidad? Ano bang nagawa nito sa aking syudad? Ano bang sa kanyang pagiging mayor ng 3 taon? Ano na yung mga natapos niyang proyekto? Ano yung magagandang mga nagawa niya para tumaas or that raise the standard of living of his constituents? Ganun dapat ang tanong ng isang educated na voter, somebody na talagang na-reach na niya yung level of education to actually vote right. Kaya nga orahin yung isang guest ko nung Wednesday, yung sabi ko nga sa iyo si Jason Luengo, may-ari ng Tribu. Sabi niya he's willing to invest in creating an application that will uh, alam mo nung bata tayo may mga trump cards.
Oh,
Ito,
yes, I remember Trump cards, yeah.
so parang digital trump cards of politicians. So kunyari pag nasa Davao ka o kaya let's say sa Metro Manila ka, sino ba yung mga mga prospective mayors? Tapos titingnan mo yung kanilang yung mga kumbaga mga specifications sa mga nagawa na nila sa kanilang
Oo, oo. Ganun
when
dapat
they- 'di ba dapat ganoon no? Dapat talagang pinapag-aralan. Okay. Okay to si Vico, maraming nagawa nung naging mayor siya. Bubutuhin ko to uli. Dapat ganun yung hindi dahil ay pogi siya or ay kasi kasi mabait siya Ay kasi siya Hindi ba? Kasi artistahin siya Tsaka magaling siyang sumayaw. Tapos, anyway, madami ring mga messages here from Carlo Realiza. Handpick lang kasi ni Cory ang con delegates noong 1987. Sabi naman ni Sean Mendoza, mas magalang talaga ang mga German at Japanese kaysa sa mga Pilipino. Si Paul Apana, sirs, what do you think about what's going to be the outcome of the Senate hearing about economic constitutional amendments? Your predictions. O Ryan, may predictions ka ba sa...
I
Nakita ko
really don't know. I don't know. I really don't know.
yung mga
Because
dati nating kasamahan sa CFCR, Orion, they've been going around. I saw a few photos that they posted on YouTube, on Facebook. Andun si Yusek Malaya, andun sila Governor Vince. Kausap nila sila Senator Gatchalian. Tsaka
that's good. That's good.
so
I
we'll
mean,
see.
even Senator Coco Pimentel, for example, he also said that now's not the time. Narinig ko rin siyang nagsabi na ganyan, which parang yun yung sinasabi ko na sa loob ng PDP laban, parang bakit hindi sila nagsasama-sama together with Bato? Because Bato is pushing for let's make these economic amendments happen now. Which is according to what the palace wants. So bakit si Coco nagsasabi let's wait for the next president na lang? What? No. Now's the time to make these fixes, man.
Wala, kailangan na talagang yan ang sinasabi natin. You 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 get what you deserve most of the time. You vote for people like that, then this is the end product. So please lang, no, if we're hoping na talagang something will happen. At least the small amendments that we're trying to push for the Constitution will actually materialize within the administration, and then by 2022, sana naman when you choose candidates, you think about what we went through the last 30 years. Did
Kaya
this
nga
person
eh.
actually help the country progress? Where did they contribute a great deal in making sure that the lives of the Filipinos become better or decent? Yun yung mga tanong na dapat talaga sinasagot natin eh. Sabi ni Lawrence Rodriguez, sadly, even educated voters are having trouble remembering all the
Kaya
individual
nga eh.
candidates in our current system. People are resorting to voting by popularity. And I don't know if this happens to you, Orion. Does it happen when, kunyari, meron kang 12 slots na i-fill, tapos you have meron kang two extra slots na hindi mo maisip kung sino ilalagay mo, tapos yung
Kaya yung name recall na lang, o sige, ganito na lang. So, nangyayari, yung ibang tao, ako kasi I leave blanks. Kapag hindi ko talaga gusto, I leave blanks.
hmm,
Yung ibang tao kasi, ay, hindi, sayang naman yung vote kung hindi ko i-fill up to. So, sige, ko na lang, i-fill up ko na lang na para maging 12 talaga. So, kahit hindi mo gusto yung iba, sige, na lang, vote pa rin. So, ang na-vote ng ibang tao, yung taong merong yung merong tawag diyan yung name recall. Sino
hmm,
yung laging nasa news na hindi naman siya ganun kasikat pero yung naririnig lagi yung pangalan niya, nalalagay siya sa balota ng lahat ng tao.
hmm, mm. Yeah, kagaya ni Drilon. 'Di ba naging number
Kaya
one at
nga eh.
number one siya noong 2016 sa senatorial slate. Why? Because kilala yung pangalan niya eh. Even if he's like fifth, sixth choice, still he is sixth, fifth
Oh,
choice by majority. By the
by
majority,
majority. So siya nagiging top. Oh.
naging top siya na
Kasi di
candidate.
naman yung pagpipili natin ng senador, wala naman siyang pakialam sino yung ni number one mo, sino ni number two mo, sino number three. Wala namang yun eh. Kahit number 12, yung isang tao nasa 12 ng maraming tao. Pero sobrang daming tao ang nagboto sa kanya, siya pa rin yung magiging top.
Mm.
Yun yung nangyayari. Kasi wala namang ranking yun eh. Yung 1 to 12 mo, di ba? Yung
Wala nga.
12 mo, yung number 12 mo, yung parang saling pusa lang sana yan. Pero napasok yung pangalan niya, tapos maraming ibang tao pareho ding naisip. Kaya
Nasaling
siya yung
pusa
naging
ka.
top. Saling pusa lang siya, pero siya yung naging top. Bulok
Kaya
talaga yung sistema natin.
kaya nga nanalo yung mga gaya ni Risa Ontiveros tsaka ni Laila de Lima eh. Dahil nga dyan sa ganyang klaseng ah, mga practices sa pagboboto. Yung parang, kasi ito kilala, parang ano to, ito sikat naman to, ito na lang ilagay ko dito. Name recall na lang. Diba? Sabi ni Orion, that attitude of servitude, the use of ma'am and sir, is also caused by a lack of jobs. Even people go into politics because it's their livelihood. If they lose their position, they don't have a job to fall back into.
Kaya
Okay,
nga eh.
yun. Well, okay, alright. It's meron ka pang bukas. So alas dos
Yeah.
na po no yung
Alas
yung
dos ng hapon, no?
yung iyong ano ba to talk, seminar,
Yes,
webinar.
yes. Well, it's basically there's a talk given by. It's going to be a presentation of two sides, no? Attorney Dindo Donato will be presenting the People's Draft, and then Father Rani Aquino will be talking about the Bayanihan Draft, and
Hmm.
then there's several of us who will be, now there's me and Sec Gary will be essentially the reactors. Will be reactors. So yun.
Nice. Looking forward to this. Si nandiyan pala
Yeah.
si Secretary.
Oh, so please patulong na rin Ron. Tomorrow if you're able to parang you just spread it out sa ibang mga groups para
Sure,
marami
sure.
makakapanood.
Share natin, share.
Oo.
Sabi ni yung ating mga sikat na vloggers, share. Okay, Ryan, you have any final words? Before you do that, though, let me just acknowledge and thank all our viewers tonight for joining us on a Friday, Chinese New Year. Well, I can't blame you because you can't really go out or you refuse to go out because there's still a pandemic. But we thank you for actually joining us tonight, no? Especially Evelyn Cordero, Tita Toronto, from Toronto, Canada. Hello, Ron and Orion. Happy Chinese New Year. Si Paul Arvin Andrada, si Dominic Solpico, Lawrence Rodriguez. We also have Carlo Realiza, Sean Mendoza, Paul Apana, Mark Borromeo, si IVDC, Dory De La San. Ito yung taga Netherlands, Orion, na nakikinig sa atin, si Dorsey. Of
Oo.
course, the usual suspects, yung mga magagandang lalaki ng correct movement, si Lawrence Chua, si
Oo.
Paul Apana, we have sila Jeremy Tiamsik, is also si Ronan Dayot, of course, always present yan, si Ronan, tsaka si Lorimer Redaha, Dorsey Dalasan. Dami nating viewers ngayong gabi, Orion, si Jules Mercado,
Oo nga eh.
si Gab Gab, cool, si Jonathan Baul, ayun. Sabi ni Jonathan Baul, papuntahin na lang daw natin, palipat natin sa Cuba itong ating mga komunistang mga kapatid.
Sa Cuba. Eh, ang Cuba nga, ano eh, nag-ano na rin sa mga foreign investors eh, nagbubukas na rin eh.
Oo nga eh.
So, 'di ba? Nag-ano na rin sila eh, parang nagbubukas na rin kasi alam nilang hindi kaya talaga ng socialism yung communist system na hindi talaga gagana eh.
Ano
Alam
ba yun?
nila.
Nagbubulag-bulagan tong mga to o talagang...
Bobo lang. Yeah, grabe talagang pagiging bobo ng mga Pinoy communist talaga. Bobo talaga sila. As in, ganyan sila, either ganyan sila kasama o ganyan talaga sila kabobo. Ngayon, may nagsabi na wag nyong agad sasabihin na masama ang tao kung pwede nyo naman palang maibigay sa kanya, yun na bobo talaga siya. Kasi kumbaga parang there's that saying I forgot who's the guy who said it, na wag niyong i-ano sa pagiging malisyoso o pagiging yung may masamang balak yung tao na nagkakamali siya dahil bobo siya. Yung mga yung mga Pinoy communists, wag niyo laging inaano na, ay kasi masasamang tao sila. Why not? Why don't you just accept it na bobo lang talaga sila? Pati yung mga Pilipinong mga Pilipinong mga politiko na kumukontra sa reforma na sa totoo lang itong mga reformang to makakabuti naman sa kanila rin eh. So, lagi kasi ang maraming Pilipino paborito ay sabihin nila kasi masasamang tao sila, kasi gahaman sila, kasi ganyan. No, no, kung talagang tunay kang selfish ka at gusto mo yung ano yung nakakabuti sa iyo, itong mga reformang to nakakabuti rin naman sa inyo to eh.
Mm.
So, kung nakakabuti sila sa inyo pero kumukontra sila, ibig sabihin, kasi bobo ka. Hindi mo alam na itong mga to ay nakakabuti sa inyo. So, yun ang katotohanan. Stop saying that Pinoy politicians or the communists are against reforms kasi masasama sila. No. Against sila sa reforms dahil bobo, tanga sila. Yun. Hindi
Okay.
nila alam. Bobo talaga sila.
I agree. Pierre Soriano, salamat ha. Si Mikhail Ringolovich, si Sally Costales, sabi ni Sally Orion, ha ha ha, ayan na naman, anti-UP rant ni Orion. Tapos si Mike C. Apolonio, salamat. Si Mike medyo nagsa-spam ng mga messages. Sorry Mike, I had to block you. Kasi grabe mag-post ng mga kung ano ng mga messages na walang saysay. Sabi ni si Anwar Patuinan, salamat rin sa pagkinig. Leonard Rondina and si Alric Kahukong. Yun.
Ito pala yun, Hanlon's Razor. So, si Alric Kahukong saying, Razor something, yun eh, not Occam's Razor. Hanlon's Razor. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. That's what it is. Kasi, yun eh, yung bakit mo sasabihin na kasi gahaman sila, masasama sila, ganyan. Eh, bobo lang talaga sila. Bobo lang talaga yung mga kumukontra sa mga reforma, yung ibang mga taga-UP na yan na kumukontra sa mga reforma, hindi dahil sa masasama sila. Kasi bobo sila, ignorante sila, tanga sila. Yun.
Ayun. So, guys, maraming salamat sa pagkinig. Huwag natin kakalimutan, hindi pa tapos yung ating laban. Gusto nating kailangan, very important. It's it's incumbent upon a citizen of this country to make sure that the future is secured. And the only way we can secure the future is by changing this constitution. It's a starting point. It's not the be all end all of reforms, but it has to start somewhere, and it has to start with the saligang batas, 'di ba? So umpisahan, dapat wag natin kakalimutan na hindi pa tapos. Meron pa tayong a year before things become final. So we need to really make sure that our senators, our congressmen understand that this is what we want. We want to pursue reforms that will have a lasting effect on the future of our country for the better. So tuloy po natin yung ating mensahe, ating advokasya. Make sure to let our friends know. Read up. Make sure to read up. And Orion, take it away.
Website, guys, go to the website again, correctphilippines.org. Puntahan ninyo ang correctphilippines.org. Maraming kami mga resources doon. Maraming mga academic papers doon, ng mga sinulat ng mga tanyag na PhDs, mga economists, political scientists, international studies researchers and all that stuff. Ang dami doon. Yung proof ng mga sinasabi ko, nandyan lahat. So, tingnan nyo. Hindi namin gawa-gawa to. Mga research ito ng mga tanyag ng mga social scientists, political scientists, economists, etc. So, yun.
And don't forget, tomorrow, yung webinar ni Orion.
Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Okay, punta kayo dito sa Correct Philippines, sa Correct Movement page. Tapos i-ano rin ni Ron ito sa sa ilang mga groups niya.
Yun. Definitely. I-send lang sa akin yung link. Kasi popost namin bukas. At
yes.
i-encourage namin kayo. Wala naman siguro yung gagawin bukas. Pag lumabas kayo bukas, medyo maraming taong, hindi ako sigurado. Pero feeling ko maraming magta-travel kasi gusto nilang mag-celebrate ng Valentine's Day. Pero kung wala naman kayong Valentine's celebration and you're gonna be at home, check it out. Check out Orion and Secretary Gary Bar and ating mga butihing mga guests for tomorrow's webinar at 2 o'clock. Sean Mendoza, mga pahabol dito, Evelyn Toronto, si Noor Betil, si Lorimor Redaha, and who's this again, Orion?
Sino?
Ito?
Si ano yan? Si Maria Teresa Lopez.
Maria Teresa Lopez. We appreciate what you do. God bless. Di kayo nag-iisa sa laban na to. More streams, more power. We enjoy it a lot. And don't forget yung ating reminders.
Teka lang, tingnan ko lang kung siya nga ito. Baka iba kasi. Try ko lang ha. Translate. Wala nga. Jennifer Pinakato pala to. Iba to.
Iba to.
Jennifer Pinakato. So, kasi, iba eh. So, na-notice ko, teka, iba. Hindi ako nakakapagbasa ng katakana eh. Pero, nakita ko, parang iba yata to.
Mukhang iba. Jennifer.
Iba siya eh.
Okay. Jennifer, salamat Pinakato.
Fel Fresco. Yan, si Fel Fresco. Nope, Jennifer Pinakato. Yan, tama si Dominic. Sabi
Dominic Sorpico. Tsaka si Fel Fresco, Sean Jacob Mendoza. Yun. Maraming salamat sa inyo at huwag natin kakalimutan yung ating usual reminders at the end of Istoryang Futbolero. Bida solusyon ng DOH ay sundin natin, bawal lang walang mask, sanitize sa mga kamay, iwasan humawak ng mga kung ano-ano, distansya 1 metro, at alamin ang totoong impormasyon, bawal fake news. Di ba, Orion? Huwag po tayo magkalat ng fake news. Ikaw, Orion, nagpabakuna ka na ba?
Wala pa, hindi pa. Pero dito sa Singapore, magkakaroon kami ng ganyan. Pero may schedule eh. So,
pero ikaw magpapavaccine.
magpapavaccine ako.
Huwag kayong matakot sa vaccine. hindi nila yung mga nangyari kagaya ng dati, kagaya ng Dengvaxia, ay wag po yan magiging rason na hindi kayo magpapabakuna. Dahil siguro 1 out of 100 siguro instances or ayon, a vaccine will actually help you, di ba?
Yeah, yeah. It's actually more likely to be helpful. And pero kami dito sa Singapore, we will have our turn. So we're just basically waiting for paano gagawin. Syempre may ano sila may priority list yung mga frontliners dito. Anybody who comes in contact with a lot of other people, yan binibigyan na yan agad. Pero kami later on, probably a few months from now. So pero kasama yun, free. It's free.
Yeah, and guys, nagsimula na yung vaccination program ng government. As a matter of fact, I've seen some posts from the DILG page. Nag-iikot na yata si Yusek Palaya at meron ng nag-umpisa na sa Marikina yata yung vaccination program. So, tsaka hindi po ito binibenta. Huwag po kayong maniniw. Pag may nagbebenta siya ng vaccine, ay sabi ng gobyerno, huwag niyong patulan kasi hindi binibenta yung vaccine. Kasi hindi pa siya, ang FDA ay nag-issue ng emergency usage for it. So that means it's not supposed to be sold. It didn't go through the usual process. It's going to be used for emergency. That means it's not supposed to be sold for profit. Tama, Orion?
Yep.
Okay. So that's it. Thank you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Happy Valentine's Day. Kong Ifat Choi. Orion, how do you say it?
恭喜发财. 恭喜发财.
Bye,
That's
guys.
in Mandarin.
See
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.